I think it's the highest compliment for you as an actor when the writer and director is discovering more about the character through your performance. How were you able to read between the lines and find the emotional core of who Bruce is? And as an artist, how did you create that space for yourself to go to the vulnerable places for this role while also showing his strength as you did both so masterfully?
Oh, well, first of all, thank you so much. I appreciate the question. And when we started filming, I had a great relationship with Toni. And unfortunately, um, time did not allow us to really did not allow me to meet with other people. So I met with Toni and got an idea of what the character was about, what the emotional journey was for Bruce, some of those pivotal moments. And I knew that those had to be hit, and all the stuff that comes in between them could be tweaked to match what was intended. So that's where I started, and then began to find more and more interesting things in this character um, through all the circumstances and his journey, finding all those things that impacted him.
And then Matt, for you with Ethan, we have this character who's so outward, he's quirky and expressive, and often having this external monologue with himself. But you do such a brilliant job grounding him and his emotions. How are you able to find that balance of how far to push this character and where he sits within you?
Well, it's just about diving in. It's about discovery, and it was easy to take a leap because I talked about this with Toni because so much of it was improvised, a lot of it when we got or further improvised from the script when we got to set. So I would just, it's just about taking a leap, being confident in the character that you developed ahead of time, which I spent some time doing prior, and and having the confidence of your director behind you to guide you along.
And Toni, without giving any spoilers, the way that you're able to immerse audiences in Bruce's world is so powerful and impactful. How early on in the process did you know you wanted to use that technique to draw viewers in?
Well, I always been a fan of sound design. I don't know if you are talking about the use of sound design. I mentioned that my favorite films, before I realized that I like the sound designs, were the Conversation by Coppola and Lost Highway by David Lynch. Then I watched the films again. I realized the sound design is something that is driving me. So I want to create a movie where sound design was one of the main things that I could use to tell this story. Having a deaf character, obviously you can play with what he hears and what he doesn't. And then Daniel and Matt came into the into the scene and complete the film for me in such a wonderful way. But basically, the initial motivation for it was to be able to actually play with the sound design.
I've never seen it done in cinema in this way. And then Daniel and Matt, the yearning for connection between your two characters feels so authentic on screen and it's such a universal emotion that audiences are bound to relate to. You do such an incredible job capturing the nuances and that contrast and that dynamic. How did the two of you build that bond and make those discoveries during the filming process and then have it translate so vividly on screen?
As we talked about the characters, the first thing we talked about was how that there's no connection immediately until much later in that specific moment that it seems natural where they do connect. At the same time, we both had to be empathetic to the characters, their lives they were living, the tribulations they've had, whatever's going on in each of those, and how they would connect. And honestly, I enjoyed working with Matt so much. Matthew's great, one of the best actors, improvers. I found so many interesting things to respond to in me that I was like, whoa, this is great. Every time I was put in the position to respond to his work, it was exciting. And the character just grew exponentially because of that.
I mean, for me, and thank you, Daniel. For me, I think beyond just the character development, there has to be an easiness and a trust in one another as actors, and it was very easy to step into a scene with Daniel. When I met him, he was very sweet and kind to me, and welcoming. And when we got to the scene, I mean, it was difficult not playing off sound for me. It was different. It was a challenge in a great way. But we were able to, I think, trust that we put the work in ahead of time and knew one another briefly, had a good feeling, vibe with one another, that it was easy in the moments to just discover and create. And Daniel was very giving as an actor, which is what you want. And that really was what helped us certainly find the moments in the filming.
Two incredible performances. And then Toni, you faced a lot of adversity throughout the filming experience. And I think that's one of the quirks of making an independent film. What was the moment that you were able to capture that even exceeded your own expectation, that you're most excited for audiences to see?
Actually, when we did the second reshoot, at that moment, we couldn't put a budget together. So I have my close friends coming into the set, pretending that they have been in a set before to finish the film. I trained them the day before, and I asked them to look like they knew what they were doing. I always say that the boom operator was a psychologist, never been on set before. Same of the rest. Funny enough, those scenes that we film with them are the scenes that people like the most. So I may consider next time if I'm going to, what kind of crew I'm going to hire.
And then Daniel and Matt, there's so much passion and collaboration and independent filmmaking. How does that environment push you all creatively? What did you learn about your own craft working on this project?
Gosh, that's a great question. And honestly, there are so many things, so many fantastic experiences on this shoot. Toni, how long did we film? I mean, really, was this over a month? I can't remember.
With the first time, we shoot 25 days. The second time, we shoot 6 days. And then I have one extra day with Matt later on. So yeah, 25 plus 6, 31.
Wow. And honestly, I remember it went by so quickly, the month, that I just fell in love with everybody there. They're so creative and collaborative and setting up in different places for different kinds of shots. It's just a wonderful, wonderful experience. I really, really enjoyed acting on this film. It's everyone did a great, great job.
Thank you.
Well, look, I'd never worked with anyone like Daniel. So this was, as I sort of mentioned earlier, it was a treat, at which I'm grateful for the opportunity. Forget that he's a nice guy or whatever, but as an actor, I've not been challenged in that way before, where, it really is all about nuance, because, Daniel is giving you so much, and he can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe he's not a lip reader, or I thought he told me that. So, I really had to just, in character, I just had to go with what he was giving me as his character, however nuanced it may be, however big it may be, but it not getting sound back is different. You have to work all different senses in your body, and that was like, it was awesome. Of course, it was awesome because it was just me talking. I got to hear my friggin' voice. So, for an actor who might have a little bit of an ego, some narcissism in there, it was great to just get to play around and do so much. And that was an experience I certainly hope I have again. But that was the biggest takeaway, of course.
Let me add something, like, because I asked Matt during the shots to improvise and move and go around. It was more difficult for him to gain control, absolute control of everything, because he has to come up with new things. On the other side, I have Daniel, who understood that very well. And he was as precise as a clock. He will redo everything. I will explain him the blocking or anything, and every take he will do exactly the same, because he knew that I need that to be able to edit on the editing room, the improvisation of Matt. So they both together support each other. Matt went wild, Bruce took control, Daniel took control, and that's how I was able to put the movie together, even though we have a lot of improvisation on it.
Yeah, that feels very fitting for each of their characters. I got one final question for the entire group. I think this is one of those films that's going to stay with audiences after they see it at the Austin Film Festival. For each of you, was there a particular theme that resonated with you?
I have a lot of mixed feelings about the movie. I hope that the audience sees that we're all just human, regardless of who we are, how we show up, and what we go through. At the end of the day, we're all human. That's all I know.
I appreciate honest moments in life, and even if I can't connect initially with something or a character, I know you can find the authenticity and honesty in it. And I just liked exploring characters that just, well, my character that just wanted to kind of breathe and kind of be himself and have a moment of just stillness, so to speak. I mean, there's grappling with that, of course, but finding the stillness in the character in those moments were probably one of the bigger takeaways I got off the top of my head.
And me, I will say that I was very lucky that my mom taught me when I was a kid that we are all equal. And I really appreciate Daniel saying what you just said, because that's what I want. We are all humans, even though some people have problems with that. That's the kind of movie that I want to do. We are all humans, we are all equal. And we all have the opportunity to love, and that's that.